couple of reasons. They're flying really high in their domestic league. I think they're unbeaten this season. And also, I think teams like Porto and the likes of Benfica, they prioritise the Champions League, so they rest players a couple of league games before, and they really prioritise these big Champions League nights. So I think Liverpool have to be careful and not underestimate the challenge, and make sure that they go for it and make sure they're still in the tie going back to Anfield.
It's the first time in the knockout stages for Liverpool since 2009. How well can they do this season, do you think? The group stage was a bit of a mixture between devastating attack but showing off their leaky defence as well.
Yeah, I think Liverpool could be a really good knockout team. I think that they can beat anybody, especially at Anfield, and I think if the first leg is away, it's a massive advantage, especially for a team like Liverpool, who can beat anybody. So I think they could be a very good knockout team, and I think it's a brilliant draw. It's always going to be hard at this level, this tie in the second round of the Champions League. But you know, they probably couldn't have picked better opponents. There was 2 or 3 sides that you'd want, and as Stevie says, if they get a result, get back to Anfield, then there's only one winner, I think.
Is it a worry that Porto scored more goals than anyone else from set pieces in the group stage?
If Liverpool don't defend properly, of course it is. We know they come with a threat. I think having Van Dijk available...
It's a big night for him, isn't it? Because these are the sorts of games that he joined Liverpool for. Yeah,
of course, and I think just coming with that price tag, all eyes are going to be on him. Especially Liverpool have had the moments in the games this season where they haven't defended set pieces very well, and they've had a lot of criticism defensively. But I think since he's come in, they have looked more solid. He is a magnet in both boxes and will help them in terms of set pieces. But it has to be a collective thing and a unit thing. You know, we can't pile all the pressure on Van Dijk and expect him to take all your problems away, but he certainly helps.
And how important is it that they take a really good result back to Anfield? Bear in mind, after the second leg, Liverpool faced Man United a few days later.
Yeah, it's vital, obviously. You need to stay in the game. I don't think that'll be a problem for Liverpool. I don't think Porto are good enough to beat them convincingly and to put it out of Liverpool's grasp. So, yeah, I think it's important that Liverpool go back with something. Obviously, an away goal would be great. But, you know, even a 2-0 defeat or something, I'd still fancy Liverpool because great things have happened there so many times on European nights. But, of course, it's important that they get a good result and bring them back to Anfield.
Keep your comments coming through on Facebook, or you can tweet us as well, at BT Sport Football. Michael Waring on Facebook says, does Stevie think Karius and Liverpool's defence are capable of progressing far in the tournament?
Difficult question to predict right now. I think Liverpool's priority has to be tonight and progressing into the last 8. I don't think many teams will want to face Liverpool, and I think, you know, there's bigger pressure on other teams in the competition. You look at the game Michael will cover later, Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain, everyone's predicting they're going to be favourites for the tournament. You still got Barcelona in there, so Liverpool just need to go about their business, deal with Porto, try and gain the confidence and belief if they do that, and then just look forward to the draw. But I think if you're an opposition team, you don't want to come across Liverpool because they're capable of scoring anywhere in the world with the front line that they've got at the moment.
49 goals between them, Salah and Firmino. How important will they be tonight?
Well, they will, especially away from home. We all know that Liverpool like to, I was going to say counter-attack, not necessarily counter-attack. They like to win it high and attack fast. I think that's the strength of the team, let's say. Firmino, a lot of the time, sets those attacks off. His closing down is as good as I've seen probably since back in Ian Rush's days. I mean, he nicks balls off centre-halves when you don't expect it. So, and then everybody floods forward, and of course the pace of Salah then comes into the equation. So I think Liverpool are perfectly set up to play away from home, and I think it's a really good tie, and I do expect them to go through.
Ellis Harris says, Stephen, how does it feel for Liverpool to be back in the Champions League knockout phase?
I think it's fantastic for the club, for the supporters. You know, the Liverpool fans live for big European nights. You know, the history of the club, Michael will agree. When you're a player, it comes with that pressure that you have to keep getting into Europe in terms of the domestic campaign. And the fans, you know, around the city, they're always talking about European nights and wanting to go on trips. So that comes with pressure for the players. They have to deliver. And I think when the draw was made, getting Porto, with all due respect to them, Liverpool are expected to progress. So the players have to go out over the 2 legs and deliver. I've got confidence they can do it. But you know, it will be tough. You do have to respect some of the Porto individuals and them as a team, because they're not a bad team.
Nice question here from David Cook, Michael. Do you regret leaving Liverpool for them to win the Champions League the next season?
Well, I had mixed emotions, I can tell you, and sat in Madrid watching the lads, because obviously mates like Stevie and Cara. Then
Did you wish he was there, Stevie?
well, of course, but you know, he didn't do too bad going to join, you know, one of the biggest clubs in the world. But of course, it does come into your mind, and it's football. You make decisions in life, and you have to go with them and live by them.
Let's talk about your other club, then, Real Madrid. Who are favourites in this one? It's so hard to call, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a lot of people. I remember doing the group stage, and I think Frank Lampard and Rio Ferdinand said that Paris Saint-Germain were going to win the tournament, and I categorically said they weren't. And I think Madrid will go through over the two legs. I think they've got experience. I think it's very hard to be a new team. Manchester City have probably proved that over recent years. Cobbling together so many great players and then expecting, you know, Paris to win it straight away. Now, I know they've had 2 or 3 years building up, but not really gone that far. It's not like they've been getting beaten in the final every year. They're still pretty inexperienced in the latter stages, and I think Real Madrid's experience will win over.
Do you think PSG will still be a bit scarred by that second leg last season against Barcelona?
I think certain individuals might be, and the manager, if you like. I think this is your classic 50-50 game. This could go any way. I think it's down to the individuals that are on show, world-class players, who delivers on the big stage. I think it'll come down to small details within the game. It's mouth-watering when you think about the talent on show and, you know, what we could expect from the games. I just hope that we get what we expect, and they are 2 fantastic matches. Yeah,
let's hope it's not 0-0 after all this build-up. It could be a final, couldn't it? And the pressure on both the managers as well, Michael, in terms of their jobs, because they're both expected to deliver, especially for Real Madrid being so far behind in the league, 17 points. Yeah,
it's strange, isn't it? You know, Zidane being the legend he is, back-to-back Champions Leagues. It's just unbelievable how successful he's been in such a short period of time, and then to think he's under pressure. Well, on the flip side, Emery, I mean, they didn't win the league last year, and they got knocked out of the Champions League really early, and you think to yourself, how did he keep his job? So, you know, I mean...
It's remarkable, really.
It is. So, you know, but this season, he's obviously top of the La Ligue, the French league, and they're in the Champions League still, so... You know, he's looking onwards and upwards, I suppose, and Zidane's looking over his shoulder. But it's quite astonishing how you'd say probably Zidane's under more pressure, yet he's won back-to-back.
He's got 70% win percentage, which is just amazing. Another couple of quick questions then before we go. Stephen Johnson on Facebook says, do you think Salah is just as important as Suarez was when he was here?
Yes, because, you know, he's lighting the place up at the moment. He's scoring heavily. He's got the fans on the edge of the seat. But Suarez done it for more than one season, so I think it's important from Salah's point of view that he keeps trying to deliver. But there's no way to describe it, only that he's been a phenomenal signing so far. First player to 20 Premier League goals, was he, Michael? Is that right?
I mean, he's blown me and everyone else out the water, hasn't he?
But, you know, Michael will back me up here. When you're Liverpool's striker, it comes with pressure that you have to deliver season after season. So I think that will be the test for Salah, but absolutely delighted with what he's produced so far. It's been fantastic.
And this one from Dan Rums on Twitter. He says Dembele is getting loads of praise, and rightly so, on Twitter for Tottenham. Can Emre Can be that player for Liverpool?
Well,
if he goes to Juventus,
I was going to say maybe for a short period of time. Yeah, of course. He's a great presence. He's got a great engine. He's a little bit different to the rest of the midfielders. I still think that Liverpool are that's the area where it's lacking slightly. But Can is, to be fair, he splits a lot of opinion. I know a lot of people that think he's, you know, a fabulous player, and a lot of people that don't rate him at all. He splits opinion, but I think he's a very good player, and obviously hope that Liverpool can keep him, but the longer it goes, the more you worry.
Where do you stand on him?
I think, as a fan, I think you've got to be concerned because there's been no decision, no one's heard nothing. As Michael said, I think the closer you get towards the end of a season, you automatically think, well, maybe he's thinking of something else. But I think what I will give him credit for is His performances have been pretty strong of late. He hasn't downed tools. He's been up for the fight and he's competed really well. I think he's slightly different to Moussa Dembele, the way he plays. I think he's more of has a different range of passing where Moussa likes to drive through the midfield. But two really strong midfielders, and you know, would compete with any midfielder out there.
Brilliant, thanks guys. Stephen's going to be covering Liverpool's match against Porto over there. Michael will be here with me, Paul Clement and Owen Hargreaves to build up to Real Madrid against PSG. All the build-up starts for both games from 7 o'clock.